As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
There's no crying in baseball!
I ate his liver with some fava beans. A nice cliente.
That was totally wicked!
If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change!
And welcome to another episode of Your Next Favorite Movie. I am your host, Josh G. And I am back with the regulars. Please welcome Chad.
So,
And Chris.
it's like we never left.
I don't know. Feels like-
It's been so long.
I don't know, Chris. You made it feel like about 25 hours for me and Chad, so I don't know. But
Man,
out there,
I gotta say, Josh, real quick, it is good to actually be doing these podcasts with you lately because I know you've been busy and stuff too. So it's good to hang out with you again.
I can't remember.
I
When
gotta
was the
say,
last
it's
time
been
we did a
nice. Yeah.
Podcast together. When was that? October.
beginning of October, yeah. When we sat down with Alan and Will, yeah. That was the last time we
But
did
you
one.
missed a really good conversation with those guys too, Josh. They missed
For
you.
Christmas, I realized that was, yes, I know. There was no getting anything done at that point in time. That just wasn't going to happen. I don't know. Maybe we should get those guys on if I can figure out a way, and we should have a conversation about Barbarian because I know they're into that one. So I guess that
man.
was,
Can you imagine the stuff we could probably come up with that?
that would probably be a fun conversation to have.
Right? Oh man.
But for today, we're going to be talking about our best new discoveries, movies that we discovered for the first time this year that came out in another year, possibly
Came
last
from
year.
our bosoms, just like in Barbarian.
Oh, yes. So I guess I'll start off by asking this. And Chris, I think this is going to lean more towards you because Chad keeps his watching habits to a minimum. But
Gotcha.
what did you find yourself watching more of this year? Like, I know October, you do a lot of first-time watches with horror.
Yeah.
But throughout the rest of the year, what do you felt like you leaned towards? Or what?
Well, this is kind of surprising, but I really got into some of the limited series stuff. So it would be like, for example, I watched that Dahmer limited series that was on Netflix. I ended up watching and we discussed about it, I think, previously in a podcast. But there was that limited series with Renee Zellweger. That was also a true crime story. It was a limited series. I forget the name of it right now, but I just got into that. And then recently it's been that Welcome to Chippendales storyline as well. It's on here. So I have to say it's been the limited series stuff lately. Not necessarily a whole lot of movies. So that's kind of my fault for doing that. But and then if it wasn't that, then there was actually, you'll find on my list that I'll go over to, there's a few at least classic films that I've included in here as well that just kind of, I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. I really love these movies. So yeah, so I guess that's probably been some of the stuff I've gravitated towards this past year.
Okay. So, as usual, most of my list, well, I tried to limit how many I put. I could have made a whole list just based off episodes we did this year because I'm normally being introduced to new stuff that way. And I do have a few on here that were previous episodes, but I tried to limit. In fact, I think I only have 2 on here that were previous episodes. Luckily. Kept that to a minimum.
I'm curious what those are. So, no, I'm actually pretty excited to hear that.
I have other ones that are on my almost made it, but I wanted to vary my list a little bit. Chad, what about you? Anything as far as your viewing habits go?
Well, I have to say, my viewing habits this year have been kind of a little lackluster. I've mainly been reading a lot this year.
Oh, okay.
Because I have, as you can see behind me, I've got so many books.
Oh yeah, Chad, that's a lot of books
That's a
compared
lot
to
of
other
books.
people.
For me, anyway.
For the audio listeners, he has a shelf full of a bunch of comic book omnibuses.
Goes all the way
Omnibuses, yes, omnibuses.
Oh, well, okay.
and some
Those are pretty high.
Novels.
Pretty high. This thing almost touches this like 14-foot ceiling here.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I know I've been watching a lot of TV shows, like a lot of sitcoms.
Oh,
Yeah, I usually put those on for, you know,
like noise
like
for me or something.
decompression at the end of the day
same.
and stuff like that. So yeah, I watch a lot of like older sitcoms,
Yeah.
like Golden Girls, Mama's Family, Designing Women.
A lot of the women's shows.
A lot of the women's shows.
For me, it's been lately Mom.
Yeah, I know you've been watching.
I've
Mom
been
a lot
loving
lately.
that.
That's a good
I just love that show.
episode, good series.
okay. All right. So I say let's kick it off. I think we'll let Chad kick it off this time. What is your number 10 best new discovery from this year?
You know what? It is Bahubali, which is it's not a Hindi film. It was dubbed in Hindi. I think it was shot originally in Tengali or something. I can't remember the language right. In Tamil, I think was the original language that it was shot in. But yeah, I kind of watched it because I remember seeing some things about it on social media. People that who were showing clips of like, oh, this movie's wild, So yeah, I watched it. It's an epic film. I know it's a 2-part. I haven't seen the second part. I've seen Bahubali, the beginning, and it's like a 3-hour film. But just beautifully shot, of course, like any big Indian production. It's got musical numbers in it, and it's got these really like outlandish, outrageous action sequences to it and stuff. So it's just really fun film. So yeah. Came out in 2015. So there we go.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I do have the years for these since they're not all New Year this year. All right, Chris, what do you have as your number 10?
So for my number 10, I have the 2021 Candyman, because I had not seen that one when it came out. I meant to, but I just never got around to it. But I actually ended up enjoying it. I think it's another one too that feels a little familiar because of the first film, like where the first film felt also a little elevated kind of horror, because that's like the new term now, and a sorts of a new subgenre of horror. But I like that it also carried from what was the first film, and now like 20 plus years later for it, and the world is so different now compared to what it was back then. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed what they did with this one. It was actually really good. I did not mind it. I think it was something, it made sense, I think, for a sequel. Hopefully that gets across well for people, but because I can't get the right words I want, but to me, it just made sense for a good sequel.
Okay. Yeah, I did watch Candyman last year when it actually had come out. So I saw it then. I liked it. I think I really want to go back and watch the original Candyman and then watch it right behind it in close proximity so that I can fully appreciate it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. I can see that. I think it would actually flow pretty well.
I think so too. It's been too long since I've seen the original Candyman, and that's an absolute classic. So
it is. And the crazy thing is too, I still sit there and remember how really the first time seeing it, I think we were maybe in high school still at the time, because I remember it was at your place, Josh, and we were all hanging out and all that stuff. And that movie actually scared me. That was one of the first horror movies to really scare me to death just after watching it. I don't know what it was. I was just terrified of it. I actually had to end up watching it like a Disney film after that. I had to be like, I need something good now.
I feel like we weren't in high school yet, though. I don't think we were in high school yet when we
were. We not in high school? Okay.
I think we were younger.
We may have.
That's for number 10.
It actually scared me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
I still remember playing that Candyman prank on you guys actually in the bathroom.
Oh, I totally forgot about that now. Shit.
and what I can't remember is if I played the prank because I know words. Jeez.
Words are hard.
Yeah, really. Words are hard for me sometimes.
Damn
But
English.
I can't remember if I played that prank, like just knowing about Candyman and not actually having seen the movie yet. I don't know that we'd watched the movie yet when I did that prank, but
Well, I mean, prior to that movie, I didn't know you had to do it 5 times. I kept thinking maybe it was like Bloody Mary, where I think you do like 3 times. Is that right?
Bloody Mary.
possibly. I don't remember. But I'm going a completely different route for my number 10, and I'm going with a rom-com that I did not expect to like, didn't really want to watch, to be honest. But I told the wife I'd sit down and watch it with her the one night, and we did. And this is from 2020. I think it premiered on Netflix. I know that's where we watched it, and it's called Holiday, starring Emma Roberts. I can't remember the guy's name, but they basically meet up and they decide to be each other's date on all the different holidays. So it's set up as a Christmas film because it starts on Christmas.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it goes through each of the holidays. I mean, Valentine's and St. Patrick's Day, and of course, like the last act becomes typical rom-com stuff. But getting there as they're going through all the other holidays, getting there, it's actually really funny and well set up, and I laughed quite a bit. So I enjoyed it enough to make the bottom of this list anyway.
Yeah.
So
No, that says a lot.
Movie, then.
That says a lot about the movie for it to make your top 10, though.
Yeah.
right, Chad.
Number 9.
Number nine. So I'm a little late to the party on this. I've only seen bits and parts of the movies throughout the year because honestly, it would kind of gross me out from what I saw. But Chris actually took me. They were doing a retro horror thing at a movie theater close by, so we actually went to go see it. And that is Reanimator from 1985, starring Stuart Gordon.
No, he's a
director.
Sorry, directed by Stuart Gordon.
Directed by Stuart Gordon, yes.
And,
starring Jeffrey Combs.
Yes, Jeffrey Combs. That's what I'm thinking of.
And
yes.
Barbara Crampton.
I remember you meeting Jeffrey Combs. I think.
Yeah. Well, you weren't there actually when I first met him. You know where I met him and Barbara Crampton? It was at a Spooky Empire many years ago. It was where I was going back to college, and I traveled to Orlando by myself for that weekend.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I actually first met them.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where I also met the Killer Clowns guys and all that stuff. And Clive Barker.
Oh wow!
Was it the roommate guy that you met at
Which one? Sorry.
The roommate guy, not
And
Herbert
Killer
West.
Clown?
But in
No, because you know what? It's rare that he makes con appearances.
I feel like
But there was
somebody from that.
he was supposed to show up for a con that one time, and I really wanted to go, but I think maybe during a pandemic or something. But
yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, it was a fun movie. It was great. I enjoyed it a lot. It wasn't as bad as like in my mind because I was like always thinking it was like gross. Because I mean, it has some gross stuff to it, but you know, I always thought it was like this gratuitous, gory kind of. But no, it was fun. It was really good. I enjoyed it. The pace of it was really good. I stayed engaged the whole time. So yeah.
And what we saw was the integral cut too. So this included what was
fancy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is what included some of the deleted scene stuff that you.
Oh wow!
And I consider the theatrical cut better.
Okay.
Way better. But because some of the stuff that's in there is not necessary. But yeah, I couldn't believe I saw and I was happy with that one too, Chad. That was like one of the best because I finally saw one
Chris
of my
was,
favorite films of all time
like
on the silver screen.
Like a child on Christmas.
And
I was gonna say there, yeah.
Beetlejuice. So
yeah, we saw Beetlejuice too, like a couple weeks beforehand. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I missed out on The Crow. They were playing The Crow like a couple weeks after Reanimator, but I didn't make it to that one. I was kind of bummed about it. So.
Oh, yeah, that would have been nice to see on the big screen too.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Reanimator.
Chad finally joined the club.
Finally joined the club.
That's still shocking that you hadn't seen that. Like that kind of blows my mind. But
it does, right?
Casual, I know.
I thought he had seen it too before, but
I mean, the only thing I ever knew really about was just like some scenes when I would catch Chris watching it or something, or
which was
like
just usually the
you
wacky
guys talk about it or something.
stuff.
But I've never actually seen the movie like from beginning to end.
Well, man, that's the
So-
charm of reanimators. Like, it's has its moments where it's serious, but then it's just wacky and
Mhm.
over the top and theatrical. But that's just like the intent of it. I think that makes it its
Now I have to
charm and
watch,
its beauty. So
Bride of Reanimator.
it's fun. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it's good.
I just remember the lady like tearing her own head off,
Oh no, that was her heart, but her head does fall because
or something. I just remember like some lady's head just like stretching up and falling off her body or something.
Yeah, it's the
And
whole
she's like screaming in pain and agony.
tissue
and stuff.
rejection
Like, ugh, ugh.
thing. Yeah, the organs were all like rejecting each other at that point, so she was falling
Icky,
apart essentially.
icky.
But she did tear her own heart out. She's like,
Yep.
"Is this what you want?" That was
Oh.
Catherine Kinmont, I think,
Oh, okay.
who was in a bunch of well-known stuff too.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, we're going on. Go ahead, Josh.
All right.
Oh wait,
It's
it's
your
my
turn,
turn, right?
Chris.
My bad. My number 9, I chose The Women, 1939,
Oh,
the original. I remember, well, me and you, I think, saw it one time when it
saw
was on
the-
TV.
the
We saw like that
remake.
remake that was
Yeah.
in the 2000s. But I've always heard about the original 1939 version. And so I finally got to see it, and it was really good. It exceeded my expectations. It was one of those, probably one of the only films, at least back then, that had an all-female cast. You didn't see any male cast in there. You always heard like the male characters referred to, perhaps, but it really centered around these women here who were kind of telling their story, and in particularly these two characters where one was a wife and then one was the mistress, and who's played by Joan Crawford, and one of her early days before she became like the Joan Crawford we know. So yeah, great movie, recommend it as well. It's one of my classic cinema one I told you I've been watching lately.
All right, sounds good. I have not seen that, so I haven't seen the remake either. So there you go.
Well, you're not missing much from the remake. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
It has its moments, but yeah, 39 version is the way to go.
Okay. All right, for my number 9, going back to 1984, rock and roll fable known as Streets of Fire.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've not seen that one, but I'm familiar with it.
I just recently watched this within the last month, but man, it's really good. I wish it had a couple more songs because they're really good, but
Yeah.
the music that is in it, Michael Pare, the guy from Eddie and the Cruisers. I don't know how you say his last name.
Okay.
He stars in it. You get a young Willem Dafoe. He's the leader of
Really?
this. Yeah, he's the leader of this biker gang. His name's
Did he
Raven.
slap his dick in this movie.
Check out our previous episode to understand that reference. But no, and then you get a very young, oh my goodness, very young Diane Lane. I think they said she's like 18 in this movie. Like she's
wow.
super young. Yeah.
Well, wasn't this was one of the movies you had on a poll, right? That we
At
had
one
to share?
point, yeah, and I hadn't seen it. I just randomly picked that one, and it was fighting for a little while, and then it got pushed down. But I finally was like, well, I'm just gonna watch it on my own. And hey, I'm glad I did because it ended up making the list. So yeah, Streets of Fire, number
Dang.
9.
Is it streaming anywhere too? Do you know, or just out of curiosity? If go with
Not
the
without
plug.
paying. Not without paying for it.
Okay, gotcha. Oh shoot! Well, Chad, what's your number 8, man?
My number 8 is it's an anime film, a very sweet anime film
Nice.
called Oko Zen, and it's about this little girl who loses her parents in a car accident, and so she ends up going to live with her grandmother at her grandmother's onsen, which is like a hotel spa thing, kind of thing in Japan, and her grandmother is basically training her to become a successful like onsen host and stuff like that. And so like the whole movie's about this little girl sort of learning to cope with her loss and learning to cope with her new life with her grandmother and all this other stuff. So anyway, yeah, heavy stuff, but it's really sweet. It's really nice. There's a lot of, wonderful messages about loss and grief, and
Sounds like Chad got
Moving on.
emotional.
it was a little emotional. It really was.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Don't see Chad for doing so much.
So yeah, Oko's in.
That sounds pretty
2018.
cool.
Yep, Netflix. And
Okay.
so yeah, check it out.
Well, I guess that would be my turn. So for me, I said Deadly Friend, 1986.
You've never seen that?
I had never seen it until this
Wow.
year.
Wondrous.
Never seen it until this year. Yeah. So I had actually ended up getting the Scream Factory Collector's Edition. So got it, watched it, and I was pretty amazed by it. I thought it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, there's some effects in it where you're like, okay, that's just weird. But it still works. It still has a good charm to it. And actually the story is pretty darn emotional for what it is as well. So I guess if anything, I was really impressed with the performances in that. I think they did a good job with really making you invested with the characters and really feeling for that whole storyline. So it was good. I enjoyed it. A lot of fun.
Okay. I'd have to revisit it. I really only remember the basketball scene, and that's just because you see it all the time. So
Oh yeah, there's a lot more into it than the
Yeah.
basketball. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my number 8 from 1977, Rolling Thunder.
Mm.
You guys heard of this one?
No, but it sounds awesome though.
Just the title sounds awesome.
Title alone.
Sounds like a country song.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is a revenge flick starring William Devane and Tommy Lee Jones. They're coming back from, I want to say Vietnam War, but they're coming back from war. I can't remember. And William Devane's character, there's some other shit that happens before the revenge aspect even kicks in that caught me off guard. The revenge aspect takes a little bit long, but of course, it's a revenge movie. So what happens? Wife dies, kid dies. He ends up getting his hand put in a garbage disposal.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like
That
it gets
alone
pretty.
right there just makes me not want to watch.
I
the
know,
movie.
right? Like, always get nervous at those scenes when it happens. When someone's
Yeah.
trying to force a hand down the garbage.
Yeah. Well, this one isn't just a forcing. This one happens. He ends up sharpening his own hook, making him a hook hand, and he sets out for revenge. And eventually, he gets Tommy Lee Jones to come help him out through some stuff. So,
Nice, okay, I can dig it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty good.
yeah, I sat down with the father-in-law, showed him this. I was like, "Well, I've been wanting to see this. This is the kind of movie he'd like," and we both enjoyed the hell out
Oh,
of it.
that's
So,
sweet. Josh
What year
Brolin with
was
his
it too,
daddy-in-law.
Josh?
1977.
Oh wow, okay, so we're talking about early Tommy Lee Jones. Okay.
Yeah. This is pre-Coal Miner's Daughter, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because
Very
you know what?
young.
The only other thing I could think of pre Coal Miner's Daughter was there's a movie that he did. I think it's called The Eyes of Laura Mars, perhaps.
Oh, Eyes of Laura Mar. Yes, I've
Yeah,
heard of it. I haven't
that
seen
one,
it.
it's pretty fun as well. And it's him and Faye Dunaway.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only thing I could think of pre Coal Miner's Daughter, like early Tommy Lee Jones.
Anytime I think of Tommy Lee Jones, I always just think of "This is my happy face."
Yeah. Did you know what to me, even in Coal Miner's Daughter, he still looked old in
He
that.
still
too.
looked old, right?
Yeah. So he just
He's
kind
always
of
looked the same.
it
to
kind of
me.
makes you wonder if he was born old.
Old faces.
He
and
just
old
always
people,
had the
like
old
Dick
face,
Tracy
yeah.
old faces.
What if he came out and was born from his mom? He's like, "This is my happy
This is
face."
my happy face.
All right, Chad, number 7.
All right, number 7 for me is a 1993 film called Arizona Dream.
I
Stars
like that film.
Johnny Depp, Jerry Lewis,
And Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway, and
Oh yes, I know you're talking
oh
about
my god,
the girl.
the
Yes.
actress lady that plays the daughter.
Oh man.
She's
oh, man.
famous too.
She's like
Eleanor.
everywhere. She's in The Haunting. She
Yeah.
was in The Conjuring. She
Oh,
was...
Lily Taylor?
Yes. I was thinking Eleanor because that's what she plays
Yeah.
in Haunting.
Mm.
Yeah, so they got those people in it. And basically, it's about this young fellow named Axel who gets summoned to his uncle, played by Jerry Lewis, who's getting married in Arizona.
To Faye
And-
Dunaway, right?
No, he's getting married to a woman that's like the same
Wait,
age
half
as
his-
Johnny Depp.
Okay, yeah, half his age. That's right.
But it's a ruse to get Axel to come take over the family business because Axel, like, there's a whole backstory about his uncle feeling responsible for the death of Axel's parents. So his uncle feels a responsibility to take care of and to look after Axel. And so he wants Axel to take over the family business, which is basically being a Cadillac car salesman.
That's right.
And Axel's like, I don't really want to fucking do this. I don't want to be a goddamn car salesman, blah, blah. But, you know, he promises uncle, he's like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, I'll try it out, blah, blah. And then while he's there, like on his first day or whatever, he meets these two, like, really eccentric women.
Oh, they're mother and daughter, right?
Well,
Kind of, or
stepmother
stepmother
and stepdaughter. Yeah.
Which is Faye Dunaway and Lily Taylor.
Lily Taylor. And, like, their dynamic is just so
Yeah.
fucked up. Because they
That
have their
dinner
own-
scene.
the dinner scene, oh my god, is crazy. And so it's just like, you know, him like trying to pursue this relationship with the mom, and he's got this complicated thing with the daughter going on, and
Oh,
it's
so
so
weird.
surreal. It's such
bizarre.
a surreal film, but it is really entertaining though.
It's
But,
one of those movies too that it never really got so much of a release in the States. It was, I don't know why it was such a difficult
Yeah.
film to release here in the States, because I think even it was like it took a couple of years or so, or a few years after it was made to finally kind of get a release as well. So I'm not really exactly sure what the complications were behind that, but it's a nice, if it's something you guys have not heard about out there in the film world or something, just go see it. It's actually pretty fun. It's unique. It's a little bizarre, but it makes sense
It's
for also
bizarre.
a
That's
young,
a good word
you know,
for
you got
it.
a young Johnny Depp in there too, and I think he was still in his 20s maybe at the time.
Yeah.
And so
You can watch it
Yeah.
on Canopy. It's on Canopy, so you know, check
Oh,
out
okay.
the library. See if your library has access to Canopy. So
Yeah, because I hadn't heard of this, so that's pretty cool.
yeah, no, it's a
good.
it's
That
a
dinner scene
weird,
is worth
bizarre
it, though.
movie. Yeah, like you would
We'll
just be
say
like,
that.
what the fuck is going on? So all right, Chris, hit it.
right. So my number 7 is this took me years to finally see it, but The Hours, 2002, with Nicole Kidman, which she won her Oscar for in that movie. Meryl Streep and oh my gosh, why am I losing her name now? Julianne Moore. Thank you. Takes place in three different time periods, all surrounding pretty much like the same story of like Virginia Woolf, who Nicole Kidman plays, and you know these two other women with their lives, but yet it's also connected, which is interesting. And I didn't realize too that Allison Janney is in this movie, and she played Meryl Streep's lesbian lover, which I did not know about. Ed Harris is in the movie as well. So yeah, it's a nice little drama flick and really good. Now I can really see why also Nicole Kidman got her Oscar for the role. It's very different, and she looks different just for the simple prosthetic of the nose, you know.
Right. Yep.
So it was well done. Very good job. I liked it.
Okay. This one I have not seen, so I know about the prosthetic nose, but that's about all I know. So
You would not think it's Nicole Kidman in a way, just for
Oh, I
some
know.
reason you think.
I remember
like,
seeing the
must be
images.
an actress, but
yeah.
no, they did a good job.
All right, for my number 7, I'm going back to 2010, and this is The Town, starring Ben Affleck, Jeremy Renner.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie. Holy crap!
Yeah,
It's been a while, but I remember that movie.
yeah. First time I ever sat down to watch it, and damn, this was. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a typical bank robbery type flick. That's what they're doing. They're career robbers, but one, they're trying to rob Fenway Park, which is one of the most prestigious baseball stadiums that everyone knows. But two, you got to watch this for Jeremy Renner's performance. This may be the best he's ever been. He is unhinged.
He got a lot of acclaim for that movie, didn't he?
Mhm.
A lot of acclaim
Yeah.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I would think so, because his performance is fantastic. He is a loose cannon in every sense of the
Wow.
way. So it's worth it to watch for him alone. And of course, it's about Ben Affleck. He's trying to get out of this business and do one last heist. You know how the stories go. And like I said, in a lot of ways, it's typical in that form, but it's highly worth watching. I was impressed with this one. So yeah,
Nice.
The Town. All right, Chad, number 6.
So number 6 for me is it's a film that came out last year. I finally saw it this year. It's Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk. Yeah, it was amazing. It was a great movie. I loved it a lot, and I was surprised when I saw Christopher Lloyd in the movie. And I remember watching the movie, and I was like, man, I'm gonna be so mad if Christopher Lloyd dies in this. He's like this poor old man sitting at this, retirement home or whatever. But no, it was really great. It was fun. It's one of those mercenary spy type movie, where he kind of gets sucked back into his old life. And oh man, like the bus fight scene with the Russians.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of, the bus fight scene.
That was brutal. But no, it was a fun movie. Yeah, so Nobody, one of my favorites.
Yep.
It's my favorite.
I watched that one last year. That one was great.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Take it.
So my turn, I guess. And my number 6 is The Dressmaker, 2015.
Is that the
This
one with,
one, Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's Australian film. It's now I may say 2015, but I think it came out maybe a year after or something like that. But it has where Kate Winslet plays this basically a pariah of this small Australian town who comes back to the town. Her mother, who's played by the amazing Judy Davis, Australian actress, where their relationship is kind of estranged. And so Kate Winslet kind of ends up, because she's kind of seen as someone who was a murderer, which isn't weird, so the town is kind of ooh,
Oh yeah.
get her out.
She's
or whatever.
Like the Lizzie Borden of town.
Yeah, but she actually kind of ends up helping the town, helping some of the townspeople out, and she makes these really great dresses, hence The Dressmaker. And then she kind of gets her revenge in a way for what the town did to her. So it's really cool, and it's also got one of the brothers, one of the Hemsworth brothers. I forget his name right now.
I'm guessing Liam.
I think it's Liam. Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome movie, good one. I think that one, also did pretty well for international awards and stuff like that. Kate Winslet is great in this one as usual because she's just a fantastic actress. And it's got some great funny parts in there. Judy Davis is just a spitfire, and she's a character who's also stuck in a wheelchair, I think. So but yeah, good one. Good movie. I recommend it.
All right, my number 6. Going back to 1981, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
No, it was originally a TV movie, I think.
And watching movies like this, I'm like, where were these TV movies when I was growing up? I don't remember getting good TV movies like this. But yeah, it's about a man played by Larry Drake. I guess you would call him a simple man, a simple-minded man, if you will. And there's an accident that happens with him and a little girl that he's friends with. The town already looks at it as weird because the little girl befriends him. And an accident happens, and these guys go get their own revenge on this man. And then it turned out the accident, and it's one of those, even watching it, it immediately took me to Frankenstein, because it's one of those where he was trying to do something that he didn't fully understand, and an accident happened with the little girl.
Yeah.
It wasn't him being malicious or anything like that, but the townspeople didn't like that, and these 4 old country boys get together, and they go take care of it on their own. And then it turned out the accident wasn't even nothing bad, because the girl's fine, but too late. They've already decided to kill this man. And then things start happening with this scarecrow out in this field that they're always in, and it goes from there. So I'm not gonna say any more than that.
It's a nice scary story. We'll put it that way.
Nice.
It feels like definitely a Halloween story, and And from my understanding too, I think was it many years later? There's a sequel now to it.
I've heard that. I have not seen that.
But I've not seen it either. Yeah, I think it's on maybe on Prime, but
maybe
I
this one was on Shudder. I don't know if it's still there, but it was on Shudder when I watched it. So
Christian, you get that
that's
Shudder
cool that you
account?
put that one on there, Josh. That's a good film.
yeah, I liked it a lot. I was surprised by how much I liked it. So, all right, Chad, top 5.
All right. So my number 5 pick is a French film from the year 1995 called The City of Lost Children.
Okay.
Directed
Heard about
by
this.
2 guys. There's Marc Caro, I think is his name, and then Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who American audiences may know him because he directed Alien Resurrection.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Back in the day. But basically, this movie it's a dystopian film, and it's a surrealist film, bizarre film. It's about this like mad scientist guy who, as he's gotten older, he's lost the ability to have dreams. So he kidnaps children and attempts to steal their dreams in hopes of slowing down his aging process.
Oh wow.
And he ends
What
up
a concept.
kidnapping this one kid because he has these clones that does all of his bidding. And he kidnaps this one kid who happens to be the son of this circus strongman played by a very young and very well-built Ron Perlman.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so Ron Perlman ends up befriending this in the process of finding his son, befriends this 9-year-old. I think it's a 9-year-old. Maybe she's a 12-year-old. I can't remember. In order to track down his son. And so, yeah. Just I love the movie.
Nice.
You know, from a purely production design standpoint. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, he has this like thing of doing some of these like sort of dystopian films like The Delicatessen and stuff like that. So yeah. So anyway, it was a great movie. Loved it.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but it's one I've heard about as well. So
Jamais, as they say. Joie de vivre, as they say in French.
Gay Paris.
all right, Chris, kick off your top 5.
Oh man, so my number 5 is Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice or Aunt Alice, 1969. It's made pretty much by the same guy who did Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. This one features, I know, Ruth Gordon, who won a supporting actress Oscar for. I see it. I'm trying to get another. Oh my god. Mia Farrow movie.
Oh, Rosemary's Baby?
Thank you.
That's what I thought you were talking about, but I wasn't sure.
I can't talk. And it also has, oh man, I forget her name too now, but she was actually pretty young. Like she may have been turning 40 at the time, her co-star. So, because it's really weird because it's part of also like that high exploitation thing.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, what it is that you have this woman who she's used to living a kind of lavish lifestyle, even though technically, I mean, really her house, which is like in the middle of Arizona in the desert, wasn't anything like that spectacular. And and so her husband dies. Geraldine Page, that's who it is, because that's who I was looking for. Geraldine Page. And so Geraldine Page plays this rich woman, and so her husband leaves her basically with nothing. And in order to keep up her lifestyle, she ends up hiring like maids to come in, and she would kill them in order to take their money. And it's crazy because what she would do is she would bury their bodies on her property, but she would put trees on top of them on their graves and stuff like that. So she does this for a long period of time, and Ruth Gordon becomes the new maid that she ends up hiring, and because Ruth Gordon is trying to figure out what happened to somebody she knew who worked for Geraldine Page, and crazy stuff happens, needless to say. So I found it pretty enjoyable, and there's a twist at the end that makes you go like, damn Geraldine Page. If only you really paid attention. So it was good. I recommend that one as well. So try to find that one wherever you can, folks.
All right, my number 5 is the oldest movie on my list, going back to 1946. This is considered a real classic, but I had never seen it, and I did a previous episode on it, and that's It's a Wonderful Life.
I like how Josh says it's a real classic. Listen, everyone like Chris, your classics don't count.
I'm just saying.
I'm picking on you.
Based on what I hear people talk about, It's a Wonderful Life is a big one that I've heard talked about that I've never seen.
Yeah.
So
I still have not seen that one. I always heard about it. I always know of the famous parts of it, but I've still never seen it.
Yeah, it's about James Stewart. I'm trying to remember his name. George Bailey. I was wanting to say George Banks, and I was like, George Banks doesn't sound right. George Bailey, and it's going through his life as a bank man or a loan manager, and how he's unhappy, and of course, eventually the angel comes and shows him what life is like without him, and all that typical stuff. But it's really heartwarming, and I just suggest you watch it, because I always went, I don't really care about that. I don't want to see it. I'd say the most unrealistic thing is that Jimmy Stewart plays him from like the age of 18 up. I'm like, well,
oh wow,
you're not passing for 18 there, buddy. But
yeah. Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, check out
Jimmy
Stewart.
Life is Beautiful as well.
With Roberto Benigni?
I think so. I just know I had a friend that one night watched that, and I came out of my room, and she was like sitting in the room, and she was like all to pieces.
You're talking about the one that takes place at like concentration camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Life is Beautiful. Thanks.
I was thinking that because I know everybody always cries when they watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, it didn't have that effect on me. So.
Oh, didn't?
That's sad.
Yeah.
All right, Chad. Number 4.
Yes, number 4.
Yep.
Also a classic film. It was the oldest on my list too, 1944.
Oh, okay.
I got sucked into watching this one night because Chris watched it. It's Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh man, yeah,
Starring
I have
Cary-
that on my list too.
Cary Grant. Go ahead, Chris. Summarize it real quick.
Watch it. You brought it up first.
So
you do it.
basically, it's about this guy who decides to tie the knot, and in the process of that, he learns that his aunts, both of them, are like habitual serial killers, and they hide the bodies like in their basement.
Oh.
And anyway, all kinds of craziness ensues.
Well, hang on. There's some crazy shit that goes. Yeah, I'll explain it later. Then.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I'll explain it later on my list.
I'll save it.
It'll come up on my list.
There you go.
Oh, okay. So it's even higher. Okay. I have not seen this one, so
It's a good movie.
It is.
It's a great.
It surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
Chris,
my turn,
you're
right?
Number 4.
Yeah. So my number 4 is Killer Party, 1986.
I've heard of this one, but I've never seen it.
So, okay, this was pretty crazy here. I did not expect the movie to be what it was. So this was another Scream Factory release for Blu-ray, right? And I picked it up just because it happened to be that I think Scream Factory was doing a sale, their usual October sale maybe. And I was like, well, let me pick this up and see what happens. I just thought maybe this was just going to be like maybe a random slasher film, but it's not just a slasher film. You have, and you really get invested with these characters here. So you have these 3 girls, I think it was 3 girls, right? That are trying to get into a sorority, but they have to, obviously do something in order to get into the sorority and all that stuff. They had to go into this one house that was, I think it was a fraternity house, and it's closed off and everything because something bad happened in it. And I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want to give a whole lot away, but because they end up doing basically this prank and all that stuff, it stirs up trouble in this house where there's also going to be a party. Go figure. And next thing you know, it's like it takes a different twist. you're like, what the crap is going on? So that like the last, I don't know, I would say maybe like the last 30 minutes or so is just wild. So I was just pleasantly surprised. And it's, I don't know, it's just one of those favorite 80s horror movies for me now. I just can't, I don't know, when it was done and over with, I was like, man, this is so good.
Okay.
So I ended up enjoying it a lot. So I can't recommend it enough as well. So definitely check out Killer Party 1986.
Nice. I've seen that around a lot, but I've never actually watched it. So that makes me think I should take the plunge. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. So my number 4 is the most recent movie on my list because it came out just last year. So I don't know much about this as far as the release goes, I should say. I don't know if it like had a major release this year, and I actually shouldn't count this at all. But when I looked it up, it said 2021. So that's what I'm going with on this one, at least, because it's not like some big mainstream movie. This is called The Novice, starring Isabel Furman. Is that how you say her name?
Oh,
the girl from
yeah,
Orphan.
the girl from Orphan. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes to this college and she joins this competitive rowing class. So like the boat rowing stuff.
Mhm.
And this college takes a lot of prestige in their rowing. That's like what they're known for at this school. So it's very it's
Not
almost like
football. It's not soccer.
it's women's rowing.
rowing.
It's women's rowing. It's the women's rowing team specifically that is
That's the big time.
That's the big time at this one. But it's basically like Whiplash, but with rowing instead of band. So they're hard on her, but she's also even harder on herself. And of course, as you go through, you're finding out different stuff about her that it's kind of complicated because it makes you realize why she is the way she is on herself, but also at the same time question why she is as hard as she is on herself. So you're getting both of them as it unfolds, and it was just, I was enthralled the whole time. So yeah, I would check it out. The Novice.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Chad, I guess number 3. This is the top 3 now,
3?
right?
Yep.
Wow.
So my number 3 spot is Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. Basically, the story is you have this guy who is a grifter.
And it's a
right,
remake too.
Yeah, it's a remake. Grifter, con man kind of guy, kind of works his way up from being like a carny helping hand, and becomes this like wildly successful, psychic medium, until he crosses paths with this psychiatrist
Mm-hmm.
who's like sort of hell bent on exposing him for who he is, and it's a sort of long.
It's
game,
a drawn out process.
of exposing him, and anyway,
It gets
I
twisted.
absolutely loved it. Like it's it's about hubris and folly and karma and things
Yeah,
coming back
'cause
around, and
Things bite him on the
Yeah.
ass big time.
it's one of those movies that just has a lot of layers to it. Like not just with the story itself, but
Right.
even in like the production design and.
Well, and the funny thing
The
is, didn't
subtext
Ron
of everything.
Perlman play the strong man in this one too?
Did he play that? I can't.
Was that
remember.
him as the
That might have
strong
been. I'm
man?
sure that was him. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Because
actually.
there's you got Ron Perlman who's a Del Toro regular, but you got Kate Blanchett, you got Rooney Mara,
Bradley
oh my
Cooper.
God, Bradley Cooper. Thank you. Tony Collette.
Yes, Ron Perlman plays Bruno. So yeah, that sounds like a strongman character.
So I mean, there's a lot. It's a great cast of
Oh,
people.
it's got
that they
Willem Dafoe in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard
That's
Jenkins, Mary Steenburgen. Wow, that's a lot of people. Yeah, I haven't seen this. Okay.
Oh man, you should.
It's
make it
good.
a
Like it's
priority.
a long movie, but
Yeah, it's long.
it's worth it.
But I've also decided too. I want Kate Blanchett's fountain pen that she uses in the movie.
Oh,
I can see
okay.
that. It's a
It
good.
seems like a dangerous weapon, it's a
Yeah.
double functioning thing. Like you could use it to write with, but you could also use it to like just subtly and what do you call it? Like daintily, like kill somebody with.
Well, and it is a good noir film. That's what it
Yeah,
is too.
It's excellent.
And it takes place in that time
In that,
period
like,
where
40s,
it was
40s,
the
yeah.
noir stuff was going on, where it was a popular thing in
Mhm.
film. So it's a nice little homage to that too.
And it's based on a book.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
anybody who's interested in that, there's a film, an old film, and then there's a book.
And then for me, going back to one of Chad's favorites, number 3, Arsenic and Old
There you
Lace,
go,
1944.
Explain the points that I missed where I went from like A to G
No, you're
with
good.
no in between.
So basically, you have this guy who's a bachelor. He's getting ready to settle down with his girl. He's going to go tell his aunts who raised him. Like Chad said, these aunts are also killing guys that they're bringing in. Basically, I think they're old men that they just bring in from the street who just need a home and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But they just also happen to have, I think, money on them too. Maybe I don't even think they're really killing them for the money. It's just
No.
they're just killing them to be like, oh, this is a way to keep them from being lonely in life or something. It's really weird.
There are reasons for it.
But they're kooky aunts.
Yeah.
They're very quirky and stuff like that. And so in the process of him finding this out, and he's trying to protect his aunts because he's like, he's like, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he also, by the way, the aunts also have this, I guess it's like a brother really to the guy, the main character. And I'm sorry, I forget his name right now. But anyway, the guy is a little also cuckoo himself. He thinks that he's Theodore Roosevelt. So he always has to come out like blowing the trumpet and everything. It's funny. And he's the guy that also takes care of the bodies, but he thinks what they're doing is a funeral. And that's even what the aunts have called it, because they're calling it a funeral. But meanwhile, there's this other brother who's now coming to town, but he's sort of an evil brother, and and so he looks like, oh man, what's his name from Frankenstein?
Boris Karloff.
Boris Karloff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And here's the funny part. This is why I'm laughing, because it's based on a stage play, right? Boris Karloff played the role, and in the show and in the movie, they say, because the brother ended up getting facial surgery, so they're sitting there like, man, he looks like Boris Karloff. So you can imagine Boris Karloff hearing that comment on the stage. Anyway, but the guy is played different by Carl Malden. In this one.
Yeah.
So he just plays this creepy dude that does look like Boris Karloff, and he's trying to basically hide from authorities because he just got out of the loony bin.
Carl Malden or Raymond Massey?
Oh, I thought it was Carl Malden for sure.
Raymond Massey plays Jonathan Brewster.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not seeing Carl Malden's name.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah,
it is Raymond Massey.
Yeah.
It's Raymond Massey, my bad. And so meanwhile, he's also got this guy who's like a doctor who does his surgeries for him as well. And oh man, it's just it all is in one location. It's all basically in this house, this creepy house of the aunt's house. And there's so much going on, and you really do feel like you're seeing a stage play, but it's done in a cinematic way. It's really well thought out. Great, a great movie also for like the Halloween time, because that's when I watched it. It was part of my Halloween marathon. I cannot recommend this one enough, and it's become one of my favorite movies now.
Like
I just absolutely love it.
Like fight climax scene at the end is just wild.
Yes.
Oh man.
And the that one policeman, he's like, "Oh, I'm writing my stage play," and because the main Brewster guy is a writer.
He's a writer,
and stuff. So yeah, it's some funny shit for 1944. Well done. Yeah.
And I just looked up; it's directed by Frank Capra, who did "It's a Wonderful Life." So there you go.
Oh, hey, nice connection there, right, Josh?
Yeah, exactly. All right. As for my number 3, going to 2018. This is a Western anthology directed by the Coen brothers, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
I've heard of that one, but I've never seen that. Yeah.
Well, it's sitting on Netflix, ready to be watched, so I suggest you give it a shot. I will say, it's an anthology, so it's a mixed bag, as all anthologies seem to be. There's one that's a little slow, and I don't care for it all. I like all of them pretty well. But the opening, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs with Tim Blake Nelson, if it was just that opening 15 to 18 minutes, that's the best thing I've watched in probably the last 20 years. I fucking love that opening segment. If it wasn't for the rest of these, this would easily be number one. It could be number one, like I say, for the last 20 years. I've watched that opening segment probably 5 or 6 times this year. Just that opening 15 to 20 minutes.
See, that says a lot on your part, Josh. When you're saying like that's like the best thing you've seen in like 20 years.
Yeah. My wife will walk in. She's like, "You're watching this again?" And it's just that one segment. I just watched the opening ballad, but I don't watch the whole movie every time. But that opening one, yeah, I've watched that 5, 6, 7 times. I showed that one to my father-in-law when he was in town.
Wow. So that's pretty cool, Josh.
Yeah, and it's weird because I'm not really a big musical guy, but the opening segment has him singing songs, and they'll get you into it. It's got Clancy Brown in a scene with him. That is some of the most fantastic. I don't want to say what happens. You got to go check it out. Like I said, it's sitting on Netflix ready to be watched. It couldn't be any more accessible than it is.
Well, it's definitely on your list probably still, right?
I don't keep it on the list because I know that if I want to watch it, I'll just search it up because I have an extensive list. I don't need to crowd it with that. But like I said, I've gone and watched it at minimum 5 times, but I think more than that.
Well, you hear it, folks. If the main man, Josh, says it's good, you got to go see it.
Yeah, go check it out. Ballad of Buster Scruggs. All right, Chad, number 2. We're getting there.
All right, so I feel like I had to have some sort of like sappy movie on here. So it was a movie that we actually did an episode on earlier in the year. It's When Harry Met Sally.
Oh,
1989.
That's a good one.
You know, basic story is you have these two people that they were never really friends to start out with.
Yeah,
they just kind of
acquaintances
with each other, and they both moved to New York City. And upon graduating from college, right? Yeah. And they just sort of just like run into each other periodically throughout the years, throughout their career, throughout their lives in New York, and they end up becoming like really close friends. But in that process, they fall in love with each other.
Yeah.
And it sort of creates some tension there because both of them have had some complicated relationships, and they're like they don't want to take that chance with each other, and so anyway, yeah, there he gives that whole big memorable speech at the end where he's like, I love the way that you do this so yeah, anyway, it was a great movie. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So
I mean, the only reason it's not on my list is because I happened to watch it the year before. If this would have been a first time watch, it would have been made the list.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, before this, like the only thing I really knew about the movie was like the famous orgasm scene that Meg Ryan does in the diner.
Which, by the way,
anyone interested, go check out our episode where we recreate that diner scene.
Wherein Chris dominates the competition. So anyway, yeah, When Harry Met Sally, 1989. I'm sure you can still find it on Netflix or something.
That I'm not sure we're streaming, but yeah, absolutely. If you haven't seen When Harry Met Sally, check it out.
Yep. For me, my number 2, I picked the 1941 Little Foxes with Bette Davis in it as well, and she plays perhaps what I now consider probably one of the greatest screen villains from this movie ever. Basically, you have this old-time Southern family where she and her 2 brothers, they want to put their money into something big that's going to make them even more rich, right? It's supposed to also bring in all this labor jobs for their town that they're in, supposedly, but also do it where they're not paying the workers necessarily a whole lot of money, kind of like the corporate shit we know today. But meanwhile, she is married to, and what they really depend on is her husband's money. But he's ill and he has been living out of state and all that, so they don't necessarily have a very loving relationship. But meanwhile, you got her daughter, who's played by Teresa Wright, and they bring in the husband and all that stuff, and she's trying to convince him, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing it." Blah blah blah. Some sneaky, crazy shit goes on. I will say that. Betty Davis with what her character does in this film. Oh man, it just, I don't know. It'll boil you. And the consequences of it is well worth it too. So I cannot recommend this one enough as well. This one is another film that has climbed up, I think, along with Arsenic and Old Lace, is one of my favorite films of all time. So it did it like that for me. It was so good, but I cannot stress enough. You see the movie, that villain that Betty Davis plays, Regina, she will become one of your biggest screen villains of all time. So can't recommend it enough. But check it out. I saw it on Prime, I believe. So hopefully Warner, if you're listening, Warner Brothers, Warner Archive, please release this movie on Blu-ray immediately. We've been needing it because I want it in my collection. So yeah,
there you go. That's big praise, Chris. I love to hear it.
Thank you.
My number 2, 1991, a movie called Clear Cut. I'm pretty sure this came out as part of that Severin full core box set, if I'm not mistaken. That's not how I saw it. I saw it on. I had never heard of it. It came on Shudder. I heard it getting a little bit of praise on another podcast I was listening to, so I took a chance, and holy hell. So it stars Graham Greene, which he's been in a ton of stuff. I think a lot of people know him as Jacob's dad from the Twilight franchise. He played Jacob's dad and that. But he's been in a ton of stuff. But it's about this. The guy's name's Ron Lea. I don't remember. I don't know if I know him from anything else. But he plays this lawyer. And he goes on to this. Well, in this movie, it's all Indian. Because they're trying to push that defamatory terms, however you want, derogatory terms. So they're on Native American lands. They're trying to cut trees down so they can build factories. And this guy, this white lawyer, you think it's going to go, you think it's going to go into this almost like white savior thing because he's the lawyer. Oh, I'm going to protect you. Well, he ends up losing the lawsuit, and he's having this. He's angry. He's lost. He's going to have to appeal, and he makes this comment about he would do whatever it takes to fix this, including basically killing this mayor guy who's wanting these factories to come. And Graham Greene hears this, and he takes him hostage, and they go out, and he says, you said you're willing to do this. You're going to prove it. And it just goes from there, and it ramps up. I'm not going to go too far into that, though.
I guess that makes sense with why they call it Clear Cut. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It's highly worth a watch. As I said, I watched it on Shudder. I watched it again just about a week ago, so it's still on Shudder. So, yeah, check it out. Well worth your time.
That sounds good too.
It is. It's very good.
Well, I guess we're now finally
number one.
So, Chad, blow our minds away. What is number
Don't
one?
be leaning on me for that. No, I'm probably gonna let a lot of people down.
No, Thor: The Dark World.
A lot of.
Oh, that's funny. Or Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Love and Thunder.
Well, that's this year, so I couldn't put that. I couldn't say that.
That's true.
No, but it is a superhero movie. It is a Marvel movie.
Oh,
and
man.
It's Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's such a good entry. It's probably the best Spider-Man film that we've had.
And that's crazy because like Into the Spider-Verse was so good.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse was so good,
man. Yeah.
But No Way Home was excellent.
Good
it
pick.
had everything in it that I would
does.
want from a Spider-Man movie, and from a good, well-written story.
And this one, like, it's such a good wrap up for the previous Spider-Man movies, and I'm not kidding. This will make you need to pull out the tissues.
Yeah,
because this will make you cry as well. It was that good.
Josh and they're laughing like stupid superhero movies.
I watched it. I didn't cry. I'm not arguing this is not a good movie. It is a good movie. Chad, my only pushback to you is this movie only came out with like 2 weeks to end the year last year anyway. I think most people saw it this year.
Well, I saw it this year, and
therefore it counts.
It counts. I don't give a shit about what other people think.
That's true. It's a first time watch discovery.
It is a first time watch for me.
Yeah, so I don't blame you. It's good.
I told you I was gonna get some groans and eye rolls, but you know what? I don't care. I'm a disruptor, as they say in Nebraska. A rebel.
Right.
Oh man,
A loner. That's all
Chris,
right.
That's your number one too?
you're so crazy. No.
Oh,
No. My number one is Tenebrae, 1982.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because I always heard about this movie,
Yeah.
always knew it was out there, but I had, after all these years, had never ever seen it until I bought that special 4K edition that they came out with. I don't know, I guess you could say I was pretty blown away by it, because I can now understand why people have always said good things about this movie, and why it was just always such a, I guess, part of like, because I mean it was early 80s, but it's part of like the 80s horror canon, Italian horror, giallo horror. So I can see why people praise this movie. It was certainly different. I didn't expect it to go the way that it went as well. Like, because usually with giallo films, like whoever turns out to be the murderer is usually someone you least expect. Like you would have like this cast of characters that take up the screen time, but then suddenly it's like, oh, but wait a minute, it was actually the janitor that was off to the left or something that did all of it. You know, who had like maybe one minor part of everything. But this one, you can actually kind of guess who the serial killer is, but then it's not really totally confirmed until it really gets to that ending part, and you find out what was going on for that, what was his motive, and you're just like, holy shit. And then there's just like these little extra things that happen that you're like, what the crap, this is taking things a little far, like what is going on? But it was so well done. I can see why people love it, basically, and so I ended up loving it too. It was really good. It's, Argento,
Yep.
I think, did the film. So it's definitely one of his best. It's a good one.
I have not seen Tenebrae. In fact, I did watch Phenomena for the first time this year.
Oh, Phenomenon was pretty fun. Yeah. Talk about wacky.
That was wacky.
Wiki wacky.
It was wacky.
Wiki wacky bowl.
A wiki wacky bowl.
All right, my
All right,
number
Josh,
one.
take us home.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it. This is an episode that I did a few months back, and I said on the episode it would probably be my favorite of the year, and it stuck with it. 1971, Harold and Maude.
Oh, so good too.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I even say on the episode
Ruth
I didn't
Gordon.
know what. Yeah,
Bring
Ruth
it back
Gordon,
to
a return of Ruth Gordon to the list. Yes, she closes out the list. I didn't know what I was getting into, so I didn't know what the movie was about, which I think made it even better.
Man,
The
that's so good.
performances are great.
I'm so surprised because I saw it a long time ago. I got it from like the Criterion, one of the Criterion collections, I believe. But for some reason, I kept thinking maybe you've seen it too a long time ago, and maybe you just didn't like it. But I am glad to hear that you thoroughly enjoyed this one, and to make it your number one is a very huge deal.
Oh yeah, this was automatic a 5-star movie from the first watch. So
Love it. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
yeah, I couldn't believe how good it was. It tells you that a certain ending is coming, and yet because I'm preconditioned to movies nowadays that wouldn't be bold enough to do it,
Yeah.
I didn't see it was going to actually go there, and it does go there. And I was like, oh, so yeah, go check out that previous episode as well. So talk about it on there, Harold and Maude. That's it, guys. We've done it.
Woo!
Chad, this may catch you off guard, and Chris, maybe you too. Did you have any that almost made it? Chris, you
Oh
had
my
plenty
gosh.
from your Horathon. Who knows?
Probably, but you know what? I can't think of anything. Like, I didn't write like an honorable mentions thing for this one, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
Because I wrote
But
down
those were, I was looking through Letterboxd, and for some reason, those were the ones that really popped out to me the most. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick with this list. This sounds really good. But I am glad that I added some of the. Sorry, I know I cut you off there, but I'm glad I added some of the classic cinema stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good. Makes for a very
Anything else to add, Chris, before Josh continues?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Chad, you're an asshole.
Oh, yeah, no, I almost put on Blow. Chad's pick, The Road, was really good. Chris, your pick of that one that blew out the competition, My Cousin Vinny, The Birdcage, Chef. Chris, I watched Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2 for the first time this year. I almost put that on this list.
Oh my god. So good. See, that's another one that needs a special Blu-ray treatment too. So people are wanting that badly.
The Dirty Dozen almost made my list. Classic war movie. Lee Marvin, young Charles Bronson. And Swallow. Have you guys heard of Swallow? About the girl who develops Pika?
No, but I remember you mentioning this to me at some point.
Yeah, a girl gets pregnant and she wants to just eat random shit. Like it's a real thing that apparently some pregnant women can get, but it goes further than that. So it was really good. So yeah, just wanted to at least briefly mention those. But
damn, those are some good titles though.
Yeah, I just remember that movie Feed Me. Right? Was that the one?
You had to go there, Chad. Is there something else you want to go with before Josh says anything else?
No. But Chris, why don't you tell people where they can find you? You know, your Instagram, your Tweety box.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Hands.
Oh, so you're ready to wrap this up?
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun, but now it's fun, my friend.
So outside the podcast universe, you can find me on Instagram at xtopher of Oz, and you can find me on Twitter at CBC Monkey, and then you can find me on Letterboxd by just following Chad and Josh. And then I have my OnlyFans page that I just started, where it has 18 plus content, so just be aware. And for a low price of 25 cents a month.
Jeez.
That's all Chris thinks he's worth.
Chris is cheap.
There you go.
Chad,
you get your money's worth out of it, I guess.
Chad, you have an OnlyFeet page.
That's right.
I do have an OnlyFeet page. So these days I'm nowhere to be found except for really on Letterboxd. You can find me at Green Screen Grin if you so desire. I don't really write anything on there. I just put stars up because I'm a minimalist these days. I don't really have anything to say unless it's worth saying. So.
Yeah, but I still like just seeing what people, even if it's just a rating, doesn't necessarily have to be a review. I like to see what it is they.
I know, but people look at mine, they're like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, don't worry. I do stars on mine too. I don't really write anything on mine.
Which I'm surprised because normally you have thoughts and opinions that matter.
I know, but I save them for the show in case we ever bring them up.
Oh, that's true.
There you go.
Hear him out on here.
Yeah, you can, most active on Twitter, YNF Movie Pod. It's the easiest thing to do. You want to look for other stuff, linktr.ee/YNF Movie Pod. That'll have everything.
Including the spicy pages.
Yes, including I'll be sure to put a link to Chris's OnlyFans page for 25 cents a month on there for you guys.
And Chad's wiki feed.
All right. Until next time, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you then.